So thank you so much for being here. The first question will be, uh, which uh, which will be the future of the far right in Europe, in your opinion?
Well, I think the question would be better: what is the future of European Union with the far right?
Yes.
Because far right is taking very powerful positions across the European Union, and they want to destroy the European Union. And this is what they're working on. And for now, they seem to be quite successful in doing this. On the other hand, you see in politics that political developments are also a bit like a pendulum. So they might have a peak now, but if you see how they're incapable of cooperating with each other, then I think they're going to mess up quite soon. Because, you know, if you're a nationalist, then cooperation with other nations is a bit difficult.
How should left European parties fight against these speeches of hate of these parties?
Unfortunately, left parties are very good in fighting each other. So it's very left parties against medium left parties, against center left parties, and I regret that very much. I think all the parties on the left should be cooperative and supporting each other, and we should understand that we have one common enemy, and this is the return of fascism.
Okay. So another topic, which do you think it will be the route, the plan of European ecologists?
I didn't understand the
Eh,
question.
La pregunta.
Ecologismo europeo.
What is the future of the European ecologism?
In the last 5 years, we were serving in a lot of governments, delivering concrete policies. And many of these things that we decided will take some time to become feelable for citizens. So the positive change, it takes time for citizens to realize, okay, that's now actually positive for my life. For many citizens, adopting to climate change and to ecology feels like a burden. It feels like they have to change so much in their life. But at the end, it's more life quality that you find. So yes, first you might be upset that you can't drive your diesel car into the center of a city, but then if you walk the center of the city, suddenly it's not stinking anymore, and your children can go to school without getting asthma. Then you finally realize, aha, it's about good living for me as well, these changes. Due to the climate crisis that we're in, the urgency of mitigation, but also adaptation to climate crisis is so obvious that it will secure that green ecologist parties will have their role in politics, more or less in different countries. But you know, it's like even people on the right understand, meanwhile, that we need to do stuff against climate change. Maybe not extreme right, but like, let's say, relatively center right. Even these people some of them start to vote for Greens because they understand it's about the future of their children and grandchildren. And this is not so much a question of being left or right, but being empathic with their children and grandchildren. And this is like a main argument and the main also emotional driver in connection also with all the catastrophes we see, so droughts, floods, extreme weather, that will again bring Greens into powerful positions, into governments, and you will see Greens also winning elections again. And even in some countries where Greens have been in opposition the last year, they're still winning.
Do you think in the case of Spain, the policies of Spain are doing a good job in that matter, in the ecologism of improving the environment?
I can only reflect on what Spanish MEPs are doing in the European Parliament. And when it comes to social rights, social security, they're very good partners for us. When it comes to environment, or let's say even agriculture, The majority of Spanish MEPs is not helpful at all. In many cases, they are worse than the Conservatives because their standpoint is food needs to be cheap as possible, so the whole population can afford it, workers can afford eat meat every day, twice or thrice. That's more important to them than the ecological outcomes of mass production and industrial agriculture. And I think this is very short-sighted. I think it's a mistake to try to do social politics with cheap food prices. Let's have food production that is also respecting social rights of agricultural workers, but also small farmers, but also the boundaries of the planet. So be careful with water, be careful with soil, produce in a maximum ecological way. This will lead to slightly higher food prices, but let's give citizens enough social money or enough income to be able to afford the food, because doing social policy with cheap food prices is destroying our environment, it's destroying our soils, it's destroying our landscapes, and at the end of the day, it's destroying our capacity to produce food for citizens. And I think this is the most important thing we have to safeguard in agriculture, and this is very close to environment. Also, when it comes to energy production, yes, since social democratic MEPs have realized that wind and solar is cheaper than oil or gas as a source, they start to change their opinion. But before that, they were not always all too helpful.
Okay, now as the last question, following the subject of Spain, let's return to your opinion about the far right, but here. How do you see the future of Spanish policies following the growing far-right parties?
Yeah, it's a situation that we have in many European countries, so it's not a Spanish privilege. Even though I must say I was surprised that a party like Vox can attract so many voters, because your center-right party is basically the follow-up of Franco's party, which, I mean, how much more fascist do you want to be? So it's like I'm a bit surprised that they have success. The problem with the far-right extremist and also populist parties is that they have managed to create fear in the population and to dominate the political debate with their topics. So today it seems that the biggest problem the European Union has is migration, but that's just not true. It is a situation that we need to deal with. We need solutions, yes. So I don't want to ignore it. And also sometimes we see problems with integration, we see problems in the labor markets and so on. It's part of what we need to deal with, but it's by far not the biggest problem of European Union. If I only take one other topic, the much bigger problem for European Union is the demographics, that we're becoming older and older societies, and we're actually shrinking in population. And if we would not have people migrating into European Union, our pension system would not work, our social security system would not work, our healthcare system would not work. We can be thankful that there's young people from across the globe coming to European Union, helping us out, because just with the amount of kids that we produce, we would not be able to have all the labor places filled. So you know, we have problems with healthcare system. A lot more and more healthcare is privatized, which means you have a 2-class or even 3-class healthcare system. That's, for me, the much bigger problem. We have a problem with air pollution in many cities still. We have a problem with people cannot afford housing anymore. They cannot afford their flats anymore. We have a problem with poverty. You know, this is all problems that are much bigger to me than the question if there's 5,000 more or less migrants coming into European Union. But the far right managed to make it look like the biggest problem we have, and then the whole political debate is only about that. They're debating it, but also we are then debating it because we feel provoked from their fake news, we feel provoked from their awkward standpoints, from their dehumanizing standpoints, and then we react, but through reacting to their topics, we're also helping them to put these topics very high up on the agenda, and I think that's also something where we, on the progressive leftish side, we can learn something.
Well, that was all. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Oh, it was really a pleasure.